Welcome everyone to another Ginger on Wheels unboxing video. Today we're going to cover everything new that there is to love about the Inmotion V14 Adventure. This is Inmotion's latest creation. It's an extremely high-powered 134-volt electric unicycle. Today we're going to unbox it and set it up, and it's going to be a great time. If you're here again, welcome back, and if you're new here, make sure to subscribe. It really helps the channel. Now let's get into it. So we're gonna do the video a little backwards. I've already got the wheel set up and I wanna tell you what's so special about this wheel. And if you want to, you can just skip to the chapter I put later in the video on how to set it up. So starting with the controller, which is inside the top here, it's the Raptor controller, which is the same controller that's actually in the Inmotion RS scooter over there, probably a slightly different design. This one's got 42 MOSFETs working with 18 capacitors and can handle continuous output of 450 amps, which gives you a huge safety margin, and it ensures that it won't overheat when you're climbing up hills. Speaking of hill climbing power, this thing is insane. It's got a motor that is rated at 4,000 watts, but it peaks at 9,000 watts according to the factory. And I guess when Inmotion tested it, they saw it peak at 12,000 watts. So that's just absolutely insane. The free spin on the motor is 110 kph, which is around 62, 63 miles per hour. And the 0 to 50 kph time is 2.9 seconds. That's around 0 to 30 miles an hour. And somehow it's got C40 magnets in it, and somehow during the development of this wheel, they've managed to reduce the motor temperature by 50% compared to similar sized motors. The motor itself is IPX6 water resistance rated. It has an internal temperature sensor so the controller can read the temperature of the motor instead of just the controller. And going from the motor to the controller, they've upgraded the phase wires. They're 6mm phase wires, so they're a lot thicker. It means you can get more continuous power. And like I said, it's a higher voltage wheel than at least my Sherman S. This is 134 volts. So there should be no problems with overheating or cutouts on this thing in theory. With a lot of off-road extreme wheels, at least the earlier iterations we were seeing, dented rims and stuff from doing really hardcore stuff or just popping on and off stairs if you're a heavy enough guy, kind of like me. But for this motor, they have increased the strength of the aluminum to A365.2-T6. That's the exact aluminum they used. It's got an increased strength of 35%, so hopefully no more dented rims. So these batteries, there's two on each side as we saw when we were installing the pads on the side here. The batteries have quick disconnect waterproof connectors, which is really cool. The batteries themselves are IPX7 waterproof rated and the wheel as a whole is IP56. But if you need to take the batteries off for replacement or for maintenance or something, you can just quick disconnect them. There's quick disconnects underneath these side panels here. And this battery setup and controller, apparently they have an in-house developed rapid charging system in here, so you can charge these batteries at up to 16 amps, which is 8 amps per port. In extreme conditions, if you're riding and you need to get a full charge, this thing can charge from 0 to 80% in 1 hour, probably about an hour and a half for full charge. The batteries also have a smart BMS in them, so the controller can read all the particular battery specs, very similar to the Inmotion RS. You can read the cell voltage, temperatures, anything you need to know about the battery, and if there's any faults in the battery, they'll show up in the app or probably on the screen, top screen here. But very nice battery management system built into these batteries too. I can't believe that batteries are IPX7 water resistance rated and they're not inside of something like a scooter deck. But according to Inmotion, if you ride this thing off-road and you get it totally muddy, you can use a high pressure hose to squirt the whole wheel off and just throw it in your truck and you're good to go after that. It comes with these pads in the box and these pedals, they have little tiny nubs on them. I think they're very similar to the V13 pedals, if not the exact same ones, but I like that they're lightweight and they also have the grippy spikes. They're a lot longer too, so they fit bigger shoes like mine. The headlight on the front here has a runner light that's on when the wheel is on, and then you can push the button once to turn on the actual headlight, which has a flat cutoff at the top, so you're not gonna blind people on the trail. They've got this new type of knobby tread on the tire here, but it is a standard 16-inch tire size, so if you need to swap out other tires, there are a whole slew of tires you can swap on this thing, like street tires if you want to. Check out how thick these motor wires are. This is crazy. It's got the bumpers here in the front, and in the battery compartment, so if you hit a curb really hard or you crash it and the wheel goes flying, it's got a little bit of breakaway protection here, and it does come with the extra bumpers in case you need to throw those on if you break the ones that come on the wheel. It's got shims on the pedals, and you can take these off if you want a flatter pedal angle, but if you have the shim on, you can see the pedals kind of tilted up. That's for more extreme off-road riding. While the actual capacitors can handle a continuous output of 450 amps, the actual total max rating for the controller, I think, was 135 amps. It's just a crazy amount of power. Like, for example, even the most high-powered scooter I have over here, which is actually, I think, the Inmotion RS or maybe the GTR, this is 110 amps of output power at 84 volts. This is 135 amps at 134 volts. Like, just insane power. We've got our 2-stage trolley handle here, clicks into the middle section, and then it clicks into a taller section too. This is a very tall trolley handle, at least compared to my Sherman S anyways. It does wiggle a little bit at the top though, maybe worth noting. Now let's talk about one of the most defining features of this wheel. For starters, you have the adjustable suspension here. This spring, this shock right here has a 200 millimeter eye-to-eye distance, so you can replace it with other shocks if you want to. This one's kind of branded Inmotion. It's got a white spring, but it's a progressive shock, which means, as you can probably see, the coils are farther apart towards the bottom, and then they get tighter as you go up, so you won't bottom out the suspension as easily, if at all. The front end stiffness of the shock is 600 pounds, and then towards the rear end stiffness is 970 pounds. But I think this is the first suspension with a stock progressive shock on here. It's very cool. It's got 85 millimeters of travel in the shock. Apparently this was the first unicycle tested with a 90 kilogram rider jumping off a 1 meter ledge, and it didn't bottom out. It's got 17 levels of compression damping using this blue little screw thing up here, and it's got 8 levels of rebound damping using the red screw down here. You can just adjust these dials to get your suspension all dialed. The sliders, they go along the side underneath the battery packs here. They have an oil seal apparently, and they've had some grease on them, and they're covered on the outside at least by the fairings here, but it's gonna be really hard to get sand and grit up in the sliders, which is really nice compared to like the S22 I think was not great. The torque and the suspension are the main features of this wheel. I'm 240 pounds, I'm gonna stand on it. We can see what the suspension does with just me standing on it. This is what it looks like when I stand on it. It looks like it already has the appropriate amount of sag, and I can feel the suspension being progressive. It also has a kickstand back here. You can just lean it back on the built-in kickstand, very cool. You hold the power button to turn it on, push it once to turn the headlight on, and it's got a nice tail light here. And if you double tap it while it's on, it'll go into park mode, turns the motor off, keeps the wheel on, so you can do adjustments in the app, but you can also park it. But anyway, that's a little tour around the wheel. Let me go ahead and do a little rewind to when I was taking this thing out of the box, and if you just got this thing and you only came here to see how to set it up, I'll show you how to set the wheel up. This is going to be an information-packed unboxing of the new Inmotion V14 suspension unicycle. Welcome everybody to another Ginger on Wheels video. We're going to be unboxing this thing, and I'm going to be telling you about all the new features that this unicycle has. So Inmotion first came out with the suspension unicycle, the V11, and they kind of set the trend in the industry for having a suspension on a unicycle. These look like our adhesive side pieces for mounting the included pads. Then Inmotion came out with the V13, which is kind of like the all-around best cruising wheel at the time. That thing had a peak free spin of 140 kilometers per hour. That was oriented more towards street riding. This Inmotion V14 is mostly for off-roading. Let's check out this included charger, 134 volts at 3 amps. And while this might be the stock charger, it does also support fast charging up to 16 amps. They claim to have an in-house developed rapid charging support on their controller. I'm gonna keep all these little included extras. I'm not sure what these are for yet, but we're gonna keep them. Little couple bags of bolts here too. Here's our user manual and the plug for the charger. Looks like very nice single cell foam, so it's not gonna break apart in transit. We've got more Velcro for our pads. This is really cool. They include really nice power pads for the side of the wheel, because it is for off-roading, and there's no doubt you need pads when you're doing jumps and stuff. This thing is so amazing. I'm so excited to ride this thing, and I don't have to worry about overpowering it even though I'm heavy. They have the same design of Raptor controller that they put in the Inmotion RS electric scooter, except this one has 42 MOSFETs working with 18 capacitors, and this unicycle can handle a max output of 450 amps, which is just a huge safety margin. It prevents cutouts and overheating and blowing the controller. This wheel is not quite as fast as the V13 though. This thing has a max free spin speed of 43 or 44 miles per hour, but it can get you from 0 to 50, which is about 30 miles per hour, in 2.9 seconds. Ugh. Oh, it's a beast. It's a beast. Anything else in this box? Looks like we have a piece for the kickstand down here lodged into the foam. So in total, there are 4 big pieces of foam, just FYI. Try your best not to tear your box apart as much as I did, and keep all your packing materials just in case you do need to ship it back for warranty issues. It stinks when you can get a retailer that does warranty support, but then you don't have a box to ship it to them in. All right, I've got everything out of the box. We got it cleaned up a little bit. We have 2 cats here. I'm gonna show you everything that comes in the box. So you have your pads over here. There are 3 pieces for each side. You have 4 spare Velcro pieces. I've been in contact with the Inmotion factory, and apparently these bumper pieces that they sent me are replacements, and I'll show you where these go. There's 2 different types. There's 2 for the left, 2 for the right. So here we're looking at the front of the wheel. These 2 bumper pieces that go right here, these are replacements in case, I guess if it falls, these are gonna crack and break off. And then these pieces go down here. They protect the aluminum battery case if you fall. It comes with these pieces right here, which are squishy, and they're in the shape of a capital letter I. And from what I read online, these are meant to stick in between the pads. In case you have to take the pads off the side shell, you can remember what location they're in. There's 2 of them in there, and there's a bunch of Velcro pieces to stick them on. We have our kickstand, which goes on the back right here, just like this. And we have bolts, nuts and bolts in here to screw those on. We have 2 fairing pieces. These are the large fairing covers for the right and the left side, and they do have an adhesive backing on them. What I'm gonna do is use some hook and loop tape that I already have. This is the hook piece, and I'm gonna cover the battery covers in this, and I'm also going to use these spare pieces that they included and stick them on the sides of the fairing covers, so that when I stick the fairing covers on, if I need to do any maintenance, I can just Velcro them off so they're not stuck on there permanently. But the first step is to screw on the kickstand. All right, so I opened up the little white bag that it came with, and this is the contents right here. We've got 4 screws for the pedal shims, which were in that bag. The 2 shims, 1 for the left pedal, 1 for the right pedal. 4 screws for our kickstand, and then 2 tools to put all the screws in. I've got the kickstand just kind of mounted here, kind of where it goes, and I'm gonna use the included screws to cinch the kickstand down. There's 2 holes in each side, so let's do that. The included tools are pretty weak sauce though, so I'm gonna go ahead and use my Allen wrench set from pevoutlet.com. This looks like a size 4. These wrenches are really cool because the edges are rounded, and that means you can put it into a screw and you don't have to have it straight in the screw to screw it in. You can have it off at an angle and still screw, and it won't strip the screw out. Might have to get a PEV firelight to shine some light on the situation. These are the handheld lights for sale on pevoutlet.com. You can turn these on. It shows you your lumens, % battery remaining, and time remaining. It's totally waterproof. But I'm gonna use this on the 100 lumen setting to shine light in these holes and see if I can line up the screws where they need to go. Looks like it needs to go up and in a little bit. Up. Yeah, more like that. Okay, it's a tight fit. I'm not gonna put these in too terribly tight because the kickstand is just hardened plastic and we're screwing into an aluminum battery shell, so don't wanna strip that out. Nice. So I just noticed that my top shell is black, which means this is the Samsung 50S version of the wheel. These cells have a higher discharge rate and a higher charge rate, I think, which means it's a lot safer for sending at full speeds for extended periods of time. So to use the kickstand, we just lean the wheel back like this and it sits on the little plastic stand. Next step is to put the pedal shims in. I'm gonna use a couple of my own screwdrivers since the one they include is kind of a joke. It's gonna take forever to screw in with this little thing. You'll see there's a little indent in the shim and then it's flat on one side. The flat side wants to go on the actual aluminum, and then the screw head sinks into the sinks on the top. We've got our screw in there. Just screw this in like this. So like I said, this is if you want a more aggressive pedal stance. This will kind of lean the pedals in towards the wheel. I think you can ride with them off though if you want the pedals flat, just for cruising. But we are going to be off-road shredding this thing, so let's get them all the way shimmed. Shim shiminy, shim shiminy, shim shimaroo. I've got another pedal shim for you. All right, second shim installed. Boom, bing, bing, boom. And our wheel's all set up as far as I'm concerned. We just have to pump up this tire. All right, gonna use our tire pump, again, from pevoutlet.com. So it's got the quick release adapter on it. Let's see what the tire recommends for PSI. Okay, tire recommends 36 PSI, written on the sidewall there. So we're gonna adjust the pump to 36 and plug it into the valve. And push play. This will pump up the tire for you. And it should turn off at 36. There it is. And then bing, bada bing, bada boom. Quick release, and we're done. Now all we gotta do is set the pads up. I'm just gonna take this hook 4-inch wide Velcro piece and I'm gonna put 2 pieces on each side of the wheel. I'm gonna rub this off with some isopropyl and make sure there's no oil and dust on it. Stick this on there on both sides. We gave the battery a rub down with some isopropyl alcohol. Just make sure there's no stuff on there. Make sure it's nice and dry. I've got my little Velcro pieces all cut up here. So I'm just gonna peel the back off of this and stick it onto here. Cool. 1 Velcro piece on. And I'm gonna do the other 3 and then report back to you. All right, I've got my Velcro pieces on the sides of the batteries here. The next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna utilize these pads that Inmotion included with the wheel. I'm gonna cut them up and stick them to the sides of the fairing covers here. And then once these fairings are covered in Velcro, I can just stick them to the side of the wheel. All right, so we have got our trusty fairing covers here, covered in Velcro. You can see the side Inmotion did and then the side I had to do. You know, it'd be nice if they did both sides. They include those extra Velcro pieces for you, but they don't put them on, I guess. But anyway, they stick on the side of the wheel just like this. Beautiful. You want to take your shoe, put it on the pedal where you think you're going to stand, get your pads. So after dinking with it for a bit, I think I found out the order of the pads. You've got the smaller one down here. This is like your piece to accelerate. You lean into that and then you lean back against this one to brake. But I just put my shoe in there. This looks pretty good. My leg's gonna go up in this little channel. We'll see how it does though. We might have to put some aftermarket pads on these because historically stock pads that come with wheels aren't that great. All right, so to get the wheel set up and turned on, I think I have to turn it out of transportation mode. I'm gonna get my charger. So it's plugged into the wall here. Unveil the charging ports that are in the back of the wheel and the top. We're gonna plug in the charger. There we go. Wheel turns on and is beeping. We're gonna open the Inmotion app on my phone. And it's trying to connect to my Inmotion RS, which is not on right now. Come on, search. Okay, so I'm gonna click on the adventure here. Connecting. Wants me to read the safety stuff. Yep, headlight, kickstand, front mudguard, pedal, yada yada yada, tail light, charging, 2 charge ports. It says in the app, the maximum input for charging the entire vehicle is 16 amps. That's so fast. And I believe I read with 16 amps, you can get the wheel charged from 0 to 80% in 1 hour. Speed unit, switch the display in the app. I do want it in miles per hour. Drive, it says D and S. Normal is D mode, S is sport mode, and P is parking mode. Double click the power button at startup to enter park mode. Authenticated accounts can lock the vehicle through the app. Learning to ride, we don't need any of that. I'm gonna agree, activate now. Activate successfully, confirm. Vehicle authorization, do you wanna verify it as the owner? Yes, I do. Authorized failed. Okay, cool. You can do it later in me/owner operation. So the app is in miles per hour. The speedometer though says kilometers per hour on here. So I wonder if that switches. Let's see if I can get it to switch now. So you can choose your ride mode. We got comfort and sport in here. Comfort is for extended range and sport is obviously for insane torque. Up to 12,000 measured watts, 9,000 advertised. Pedal hardness, balance angle. Here we go. Metric/imperial units, change it to miles per hour. And then it's changed on the app to miles per hour. Very nice. Berm angle mode. Oh, cool. You can adjust the tilt angle so when you're going off-road and you're doing berms, the wheel won't cut out. I'm gonna turn that on. Switch to P mode by double press the power key to activate it. You can turn on transportation mode, factory reset. Let's see if we have any firmware update. Nope, we're all updated on the firmware. Okay, pushing power button. There we go, turns on. It's in sport mode. I can double click it and turn it to park mode and then it's loosey-goosey and I can lay it down to park it without turning the wheel off. That's pretty cool. Single click to turn the headlight on and off. Ooh, nice running light in the back. Headlight stays on. I think there's a runner light that stays on. So you'll see the headlight, it looks like it's on, but this is a running light that's on at all times when the wheel is on. And then when you turn the headlight on, you get the center beam there. Very cool. Check out that headlight too. I like that it's flat at the top, so we're not gonna blind people on the trail. Should be a very nice light. I'm excited to ride this at night. Might just go for a night ride tonight, actually. See our trolley here. Just click the middle button, get the trolley to come up. It has 2 levels. This is the middle level, and then it has a taller level. Trolley handle has a little bit of wiggle to it, but it's very tall. I like that. Cool. All right, you guys, that's gonna be it for today's video. Hopefully you learned something new about the wheel and you got it all set up. But thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe to the channel if you liked the content, and I'll see you for the next video when we're out riding this thing on the trails where it belongs.